Hello, goddesses. Welcome to episode 75 of the Reclaim Your F.I.R.E podcast. In today's episode, I welcome Chelsea Arns, who created this unbelievable product that I personally use and love, and it's called the Align Planner. And we are going to discuss how she created this planner, why she created this planner, and how you can use a planner to manifest the life that you want. And I know that there are goddesses listening who love journals, who love planners, who love paper just as much as I do. I just have this sneaking suspicion. So if you are feeling like you need some support, like you need a tool, and you are not really seeing the results of the life that you truly want, I highly, highly encourage you to listen to this episode today. Plus, Chelsea is just a powerhouse with a huge, huge heart. You probably will feel that right away when we start talking. Like all of my guests really are very heart-centered. So before I introduce Chelsea, I also want to remind you that if you have found value in listening to this podcast, now you've probably noticed I've had pretty much all guests in the last few months, and I cherry pick each and every one of my guests. I ask everybody individually if they'd like to be on. It is a process that I feel very aligned with, that feels really good, and personally I feel very proud of the guests that I've brought on. So if you're also feeling that way, if you feel that a guest that has come on recently you really align with, you really have enjoyed listening to, I invite you to go back to the show notes, reach out to them if you'd like to work with them. And then if you found value and if you know somebody that will benefit by listening to this podcast, please let them know about this podcast. What would be super helpful is if you could kindly write a review of this podcast in Apple Podcasts. That would really help me get the word out with this podcast so that more people can hear this message, because you probably have already noticed it's getting a little crazy around here in the world. And what the world needs is more positive messages. People need to know more about people, other people that are doing wonderful things in the world, so that we can advance as a human species. So without further ado, please welcome Chelsea Arns. Hello, fire goddesses. Welcome back to the Reclaim Your F.I.R.E podcast. My name is Angela Noel, and I am your host of the podcast. And today I'd like to introduce my next guest, Miss Chelsea Arns. Hi, Chelsea. How are you?
Hi. Thank you so much for having me, Angela. I'm doing very well.
Awesome. So glad to hear it. So great to see you. And before we get started, why don't you just tell the goddesses who you are and how you help people?
Yeah, okay. I love that you call your audience goddesses, because that's truly what every single one of us is. And I like to help people see the goddess or the god in themselves. So I have a couple of businesses. I'm a mom and I'm an entrepreneur. About 8 years ago, I started a supplemental education business, helping students realize that what they thought they couldn't be good at, that they actually can be good at with the right one-on-one teaching and with the right method, and that they can actually be very confident and they can do something that they once thought was hard, or once thought they couldn't do. And that's my first business, and it went really well. And I was a workaholic, and I was an overdoer, and there were a lot of things in that business that worked really well. But when it got to a point where it was successful without me, and I mean, I was so used to overdoing and burning out, I didn't know what to do with myself. I had all this time. And so I was able to use that time effectively. And now I help women to, in a membership and with my aligned planner, I help them to be, do, and have anything that they want, and to do that in alignment and to manifest the life that they really want to have, just by learning more about themselves, by being more in love with who they are, and by living in a state of gratitude and intention. And so I have the Aligned Manifestation membership where I mentor women through that. And we use my Aligned Planner as the foundation for the membership. So, all in all, it's really just helping people step into their own power and realize that they, like, I love how you call your audience goddesses, because I show people that they truly can be goddesses and do whatever it is that they want to do.
I love that, Chelsea. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, it's so true, isn't it? Like, I feel like it's, I mean, my mission on the podcast and in life is to really help the goddesses that is each and every one of us and gods to really expand into our full potential, which is infinite. So I love your message. I love what you're doing. And I would love to know, before we go into the Aligned Planner, which I am totally obsessed with, I'd love to know, like specifically if you could share caused you to start a planner and go this route from tutoring. Like, if you could just share that, because I feel that would be really helpful to those who are listening.
Yeah, well, so I started this. Okay, so I'm going to share a kind of a bit of a vulnerable story. So, the tutoring business that I started, I'm a partner in that. So I didn't start from the ground up, but I almost started almost like a franchise partner. And so I began it in my territory. And as a student, as a young student myself, I had a tutor, and my tutor was my mentor. I looked up to them like a role model. They inspired me. They taught me how to study, what to study, when to study. And I loved and felt on fire when I felt like I finally got something, like I could do it, and I felt unstoppable. And I was in love with that feeling. And then I became a tutor and I started tutoring other students. And then when I started the business, I started hiring other students. I started hiring other tutors and teaching other people how to be great for their students. And it was my 5th year of business. And by the 5th year of business, within 5 years, I had 3 kids in under 3 years. I never took a mat leave. I just done my first $1 million a year in my business, and I had accomplished and sacrificed a lot. Okay. And I was having a meeting with the CEO of this company. And during that meeting, it didn't go as I planned it to go. I didn't get like this huge congratulations, everything's going so great, you've sacrificed so much, and the business is doing awesome. I didn't get that. And I realized, and I kind of felt like down in the dumps for a while, because I realized that this wasn't my business at the end of the day. I realized that I was pretty much disposable. Even though I thought it was my business, at the end of the day, I'm not the CEO of this business. And I realized that, yes, I'm passionate about this business and I love it and I believe in it, but it is not mine. And so that led me to go, holy crap, I spent the last 5 years sacrificing all of this time, sacrificing family vacations. Like, my family would go on vacation, I'd be working in the room, or I constantly was just always on. I never took a mat leave. And I realized, like, wow, okay, yeah, sure, I achieved my business goals and I achieved these revenue goals and I've got all these students and I got a great team and this is all great. But at the end of the day, like, what? Like, what really matters? I just lost out on all this time with my kids. I burnt out several times. I sacrificed a lot of relationships. And I just realized that I had been missing the whole mark. I realized that life wasn't about, the fancy this or the fancy that, or the income goal or the number of people you have on your roster list. Life is about enjoying the journey. And that made me realize, did I enjoy the journey to getting here? Did I enjoy every single day? Did I enjoy every moment, or was I just stressed out all the time? And I looked back and I was like, I'm proud of what I did, but I was stressed out all the time. So that's when I started getting into personal development. And so this planner is a conglomeration of two really balanced worlds. First of all, it's my own, because I wanted something that was my own, and I created this from scratch. But in it is this amazing goal manifesting strategy that I believe can help anyone accomplish their goals, because it takes your yearly goals, it chunks them down into quarterly goals and then into weekly commitments and then into daily actions. Because I believe that big dreams happen with little steps, right? Little consistent steps. But what I had been missing on my journey to that success was the joy and the gratitude and the intention and the being present, and enjoying the moment and enjoying even the little bits of challenges. And that's what I infiltrated this planner with. So it's got an amazing goal manifestation strategy, but it also makes sure that you're raising your vibration. It makes sure that you're living with intention. It makes sure that the things that are really important to you in your life, even the fact that you're choosing happiness every day, it just makes sure that you do all that. So at the end of the day, you can be like, well, yeah, I might have sacrificed these things, but I still enjoyed the person I was being. I was still aligned with my values. And so that's kind of how that started. It was, from overdoer and overachiever to still being able to achieve more goals, but in a much more balanced approach, and embodying the version of myself that I've always wanted to be. So sorry, I know that was really long. I hope that made sense.
Oh, that is great. And, I just want to point something out that I observed when you were just talking is your voice slowed into this like nice calmness. I don't know if you noticed when you started really getting into the nitty gritty of the details of the planner, like about ways of being. So, clearly I just wanted to acknowledge that part of you, because it really feels to me that you are living your life's purpose through helping these folks, these women in your membership, and also with your aligned planner. So that's amazing, Chelsea.
Oh, thank you. And it's funny that you sense that, because that's the way my life was before the planner. It was go, 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 rush, rush, rush.
Yeah.
And now with the planner, like, I make sure that I have time to like tune in and be present and breathe and meditate and just make sure that the inside, like, it's all in alignment, that I am present and calm and moving forward, not just to get things done, but to enjoy how I am doing it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
being the best version of me along the way.
Absolutely. And I feel like a lot of people listening, the goddesses listening, will relate to your story, just with the burnout and working, work, having 3 kids. Oh my gosh, in 3 years. And maintaining a business and not really necessarily, what I heard you say was checking the boxes, right? Just doing, but not necessarily enjoying. And I just want to mention that I have my own copy of the Aligned Journal. Chelsea and we chatted, I don't know, a couple months ago, and I was in a funky state of overwhelm myself. And you were like, well, and I said, well, planners don't work for me.
Yeah.
Because I have like 5 or 6 brands on my shelf, and they're small, right? And the print is like really small. It doesn't work for me anymore, where I'm at in my life. And I was like, you know what? Finally, I was like, I just feel like I need to try this. And I received it about a month ago. I love it. It's Goddesses. It's absolutely beautiful. It's like marble, really pretty. I love the ribbons, the silver, gold, and white, and the spiral. It's just the right size. And like you said treat it like your Bible. So it's a tool that when I get up in the morning, I can't wait to go. Like, I literally can't wait, because I do like writing and journaling. It's not that I don't like that stuff, but like you said, it really helps get into your essence of who you are by reflecting. Did I choose happiness? There's a checkbox. Did I love myself today? There's a check. And there's all these like nice little reminders. And the thing is, if I forget a check, I know that the next day, the checks are going to be there the next day, and it's okay.
Yes, good. I love how you said that, because I was the same. So I created this planner. I created just from scratch, like on hand, like paper and pen. And then, I hired a series of graphic designers, because I'm not good on computers and things like that. But as I was using it, I'd use it, and then a day would go by and I'd miss it. And I would have like the most irritable day, or I just wasn't centered in my essence, like you said. And I'd go, oh, It's because I didn't sit down with my planner in the morning. I didn't do my gratitude. I feel like the planner just centers you so that you're starting the day. I used to start my day like a chicken with my head cut off. Baby's crying, got to make lunches, husband wants this. Now I start my day for me. And even if that means waking up an extra 15 or 20 minutes earlier than normal, now I fill my cup in the morning for me. And it all started with this planner, the gratitude and the prompts in it. But then there's also the self-love prompt in it. And because I love myself, I know that for me, before I can give to my kids, before I can give to my businesses, before I can give to anyone else, I first have to give myself and I have to fill my cup. And I think that was the big game changer in my life, was knowing that I was the most important thing in person. And this kind of just helped me set the stage for that. And yeah, I know there's so many moms and business owners that need to hear that. Like, you hear, fill your cup, fill your cup. But until you actually wake up and do for you first, yeah, it's just such a game changer. It's such a game changer. And then you can give more. Like, some people are like, oh, well, that's selfish. I remember my sister, she used to look at me and she said, she's like, I used to think, I got her on my planner. She loves it. But before she used it, she was like, I used to think you were selfish. She's like, now I see why you do it. She's like, I am a way better person now that I use your planner and I take time for myself. Like, because when we have more, we can give our best to the people we love. Otherwise, we're just giving, we're not giving them the best of us. We're just giving them the leftover scraps. And you know what I mean? So important that when we give the best to ourselves, now we can give the best to those that we love, and the energy then is right. And yeah, the planner certainly helped. And that was, I think, the biggest game changer between the old me and then the new me after the personal development and after all the growth and all of that. It was just being intentional to filling my cup first.
That's really powerful. And couple of things I love to, because a lot of times we hear, oh, just love yourself, or oh, get into a morning ritual, right? But what's really powerful, like, what's a planner have to do with it? It's here every day to remind you, instead of, a lot of times we as humans, we start these things, we do it for 1 or 2 weeks or 1 or 2 days, and then we fall out of integrity. And what I really like about this is that this is always here by my bedside, and it's always ready for me to fill it out. So I really love that you're doing this, Chelsea. And I'm just curious if you could address this too for moms listening who are like, oh man, like, how do you do that? Like, how do you, like, I can see how this is all important, but what if I'm filling out my journal, as an example, and my 2-year-old needs me, like, so how do you navigate through that, Chelsea? Because I personally don't have children. I know there are a lot of moms who listen. How do you navigate through that? Still filling your cup first when you know that somebody out there needs you.
Yeah. For me, it was a big thing of setting boundaries. So when I became a mom and you're thrown into motherhood and you don't know what to like, you know that you're a completely different person once you have a mom. It's like you give birth to this child who has a life, but you've also just given birth to yourself as a mother. Like, I had a friend and she's like, it's my son's birthday, but I'm also celebrating me because this is the day that I became a mom. And that was so profound because we are completely different people once we become mothers. But one of the things is they never tell you, make sure that you spend time on yourself, right? Everything's always about the baby and the household and the laundry and the feedings. And it's never about you as a mom. And that's, I think, where we then disconnect from who we truly are once we become adults and have families. And so and don't get me wrong, like, I had a lot of there were a lot of breakdowns that got me to this point. I realized that time to myself was not nice. It was necessary. It wasn't just a nice thing to have. It wasn't just a privilege where I'll try to fit it in. I realized that I needed to have time to myself, and that was necessary, or I could not be the mother that my children deserved. And I could not be the wife that my husband deserved. And I could not be the goddess that I am. So I think it's just up to each woman to go, what do I need to be the best version of myself? And not to feel guilt or shame when you go and you implement that. And it's all about boundaries. right? And saying no and asking for help. So I have an amazing husband, but there was a time where I used to feel guilty asking him for a half hour or an hour at the gym. Like, and not because he necessarily made me feel guilty, I was projecting that guilt onto him, right?
Mhm.
I could have easily said, hey, I'm doing this from this time to this time. You're going to need to watch the kids. But for years, Angela, I didn't let myself ask him. Finally, enough breakdowns happened. I had hit a certain level of rock bottom. And yeah, so I would just ask him. And actually, at first, there was a little bit of pushback. But then he started going, oh, well, if you're going to take time to yourself, then I'm going to take time to myself. And I was like, great. So
Beautiful.
now we both have our own things. Like we've got our family and we make sure we spend time together. But now he's also taking care of himself. And so he's able to come back as a better dad. And then when I take time, away an hour or two or whatever, I come back better. So it's a matter of figuring out what you need and then asking for it and not getting into the shame or the guilt. Because when you are the best version of yourself and when you prioritize yourself and what you need, you're teaching your children to prioritize themselves and what they need. And you're teaching your children to put themselves first, right?
Yeah.
Because they learn from us how we be and what we do, not just what we say. So yeah, and for anybody who doesn't have a husband or doesn't have anybody, I mean, hire a babysitter. Even if it's to hire the 13-year-old down the street and to pay her $15 so you can have an hour to yourself. I mean,
Huge.
it'll be the best $15 you ever spent because you need that for you, but also you need that for your kids.
Yeah. And I got chills a couple times hearing you speak, Chelsea. First of all, just it's not just nice, but necessary. That's so powerful. And to the goddesses listening, I invite you to listen to this, especially if you have children, but even if you don't have kids, but you're struggling with burnout, what Chelsea's offering and bringing to the table is really, really valuable. And it is a matter of being necessary. It's not just a matter of going to the nail salon for your break. It's a matter of, I talk about this a lot in the area of self-care, but really boundaries, starting with yourself first, right? And saying, no to yourself and setting boundaries there. Like, I am going to stop working at 5 p.m. and you follow through with that, even if there's still loose ends. And then setting those boundaries with others and also teaching your children because they're watching. And I love how the ripple effect happened in your family too. Now your husband's like, oh, I want some of that, right?
Yeah. And that was awesome to see because now he puts more time into his own self-care and I'm proud of him for that. And it makes him more attractive too, right? Yeah, one of the things was I remember I had kids. My kids it was probably about my third year of being a mom. And I sat down with a friend. Finally, I was just starting to go out for lunches with friends. So I had to sit down with her and I went, I really want to get into an exercise routine. Like I know my body needs it. I'm a high energy person, but I just can't find the time to go to the gym. And she's like, well, you just have to do it. And I was like, yeah, I just have to do it. So that was one of the goals I manifested in my planner. Now I work out. And I feel so much better, but it also encouraged my husband to do it too. So now he's taking care of his health. And now like I'm finding him more attractive because I everybody you want a partner who's taking care of themselves, right? And it starts with you. So it's been a great ripple effect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was talking to another coach recently who really helped me with this. This is just kind of a random thought, but she's like, women are the emotional leaders. Like, we are so powerful, right? And there's a long time, I feel, where our power, we as women, we had our power taken away. And, this, I feel like the work that you're doing, Chelsea, in helping more women be aligned is really helping women. Not that we need permission, that's not the right word, but to know that it is okay without shame and guilt to take our power back and align.
Yeah. And you say something really, that resonates with me is the permission. And we don't need permission, but we seek it. It's like we seek validation. Like I knew I didn't need permission to do any of these things, but if I thought my husband was going to be annoyed or if someone didn't give me permission to, then I felt like I didn't deserve it. And we need to be the ones to say, hey, I'm a goddess and I need this. And I don't care what anyone else thinks or says. I know what I need, and I got to trust in that. So this is what's happening, and I'm going to make it happen. And we need to just step in and decide that we are going to be the ones to give permission to ourselves. Because at the end of the day, that is really all that matters, is that we give ourselves permission. The other thing is, like, I love about the planner, and I always tell people, like, you create your life. We are goddesses, and we create our life with our thoughts, with our actions, with our words. But it all comes down to a decision, just deciding what we want. And as soon as we have it, and I'm big on the planning and the journaling, because I feel like when you write things down, you're now putting it from the mental into the physical and into the universe, and you're committing to what it is that you want. You've made that decision, you're writing it down, and then all you got to do is follow through.
Amen. No, so many ahas there. And yeah, I really, I feel like what you're saying is really gonna really impact a lot of people, Chelsea. And I would love it if we could just dive into alignment really quick, because that's the name of your product, is Align Planner and Journal, and the Align Manifestation membership. So I'm curious to know, because it's something that I chat about a lot. And I feel like it's kind of a word that it's a buzzword, but some people may know what it means, but some people may not really quite understand what that means. So when you're talking about alignment in regards to what you offer people, what does that mean, and what does that look like to you?
Yeah, so for me, alignment means knowing where we're working towards, knowing what we want to create in our life and what we want to have, and being the version of ourselves who's already there, right? It's working from the point that we want to be at in the future, working from what it is that we're creating instead of working from our current circumstance. Because I teach manifestation, and when we're manifesting, we manifest what we are being and how we are acting and what the words we're saying and the conversations that we spark, and all of that is manifesting and creating whatever it is that's coming to us in the future. But when we are in alignment and we have that vision of what it is we want, and we're being the version of us who already has it and doing whatever it takes to get there, then we're aligned. So does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And I feel like because we're such a doing culture. I mean, I'm in conversations with people all the time that are like, well, I want this, and I just have to, like, the key word for them is do, right? I just got to do, and that's still, I think, a product, right, of living in a culture that values just do it, right? Nike, or you gotta overdo, and you got to achieve, and you got to basically burn yourself out in order to have what you want. And I love what you said about aligning. And also, there was another thought I had that came through. And as far as people feeling burnt out and not having what they want, I think it's a result often of not aligning, meaning you're living according to somebody else's standards, right? Oftentimes, subconsciously, we don't even know we're doing it. We're just like, oh, this is, I'm just going to go get my master's because that's what I think I need to do, right? Or I'm going to go to law school because my parents want me to go to law school, right? So I love that. I love this paradigm shift that we're experiencing. Or I feel like really excited to live during this time where I feel like we're leading the pack in helping people get to this place. So, and I'm just so excited to be able to talk with you, Chelsea, about this.
Yeah, and it's such an honor. It is such an honor for me to be here and to have created a tool that other people can look to help be empowered, right? And to take control of their destiny. And I love how you're leading women through that as well. So it's an honor.
Yeah, likewise. And it's really been an honor to have you here. You're such a powerhouse. I feel like it's so easy to chat with you. Like, I feel like we could just continue this conversation, but I know that, I like to keep it so that people can do other things, but it's been really an honor to talk to you. And if people are listening and they're like, oh, I really resonate with what Chelsea is saying, how can I work with you? How can I get a planner? I'm going to put everything in the show notes, but if people want to look it up right now, how can they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me at www.alignedplanners.co. And I'm also on Instagram at Aligned Planner. And then my own personal Instagram account is Aligned Manifestation.
Wonderful. Awesome, Chelsea. Thank you.
You're
And just to wrap it up, do you have any words of wisdom, any takeaways for the goddesses listening? Maybe those who are just really, in the throes of overwhelm.
Yeah. So one thing that I like to leave people with, again, is just what we talked about, the be, do, have. And I would encourage every goddess out there, if they're wanting to create a change in their life or make something happen in their life, I would invite them to sit down and write out exactly what it is that they want and why they want it, and just make sure that they connect with that why and write that out and give yourself a due date. Give yourself, like a year from now. And then every day, try to do one thing that will help you get there, right? Because, like I said, it's big dreams, little steps. So, what is one thing that you can do today to help you achieve that end goal at the end of the year? And in addition to that, what is one way of being that you can embody that mirrors that version of you at the end of the year who's already got it, who's already achieved it? How can you be that? So, for example, if you want to manifest or create, say an extra $10,000 at the end of the year, then what is it that $10,000 is going to bring you? How is that going to make you feel? Is it going to make you feel happy? Is it going to make you feel secure? Is it going to make you feel more stable? And then how can you be happy, secure, and stable today? How can you look for ways in your life that you already are those things and just be it and feel it? And the biggest thing I think is just knowing that we already have everything that we really need in this world, right? And just being in that state of gratitude. Like, if we already have food on the table and a roof overhead and a comfy warm bed to sleep in and comfy clothes, then we are better off than a large majority of the population on this planet. And so just coming from a place of gratitude, and yes, we're always working towards something else, but don't forget how blessed you already are in this day. So mix the both of those, right? Do the be you, but in a state that is coming from a place of gratitude.
Beautiful. So well stated. I love how you said that, Chelsea. And just the fact that, when we're in gratitude, there's no fear, right? Those two can't exist in the same place. So powerful. What an amazing, powerful conversation. I love your planner. For those that are interested in purchasing or just looking up Chelsea online, I will drop everything in the show notes. Chelsea, it's been an honor. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was wonderful. Thanks, Angela.
Thank you, Chelsea. And until next time, goddesses, be radiant, be powerfully authentic, and know that you can reclaim your fire at any time. Until next time, take care. Hi, this is Angela Noel, and thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you have found value in listening to this podcast, I would be so grateful if you could kindly share this podcast with those you care about. Please help me spread the word of empowerment and possibility and expansion by sharing this podcast. Or you could also leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Remember to follow me on Instagram at I am Angela Noel, or you could go to my website at www.angelanoelinternational.com to learn more about my work and to find out how you can work with me. Thank you very much.